Good evening. Got a small. It's not even a batch. It's a single game to report on. Still been going about CX, etc. There's lots of stuff to see at the moment, but it's all kind of stuff that will turn up again. Although I have seen some. Was I talking before about waiting for prices to drop? There was loads and loads of Mario Kart 64 in the shops at the moment, and they've been £35 for weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks, and I kind of expected, because of the amount that they had in and didn't seem to be selling, that the price would drop eventually, and that was kind of part of the fun. I thought the fun, is collecting, but also not buying something because you're waiting for it to go down. Maybe that's kind of become a part of it for me, and lo and behold, they're £28 now, which is a fair decrease. I didn't buy it anyway, because it's still quite a bit of money. And I do have a copy of Mario Kart 64 boxed, but which I'd kind of like to hold on to, because it might one day be worth something. Although I don't remember the condition of the box, so that might be a complete waste of my time. All the same, been going in and about shops, haven't been buying much, but I wanted to buy this a wee while ago, and it turned out not to be the game I thought it was. So when it turned up again, I went for it in this nice Gameboy box, Gameboy cartridge holder thing. Wario Land. I wasn't really paying attention to this when I decided to buy it, but the game and the label are in pretty immaculate condition, and it's really colourful. It's a really nice label, actually. Quite a distinctive. I don't even know if this camera autofocuses. Is that a bit too much for it? Anyway, something quite characteristic about the design. It's Super Mario Land 3, and as I recall, it does look a wee bit like the other Mario Land kind of cover art. This kind of warped perspective thing where you've got this big main character, you've got this space, this island, seeing as much of it as possible, but taking up as much as possible of this front label, and these really big characters. It's just got a lot of action on the tiny label, and it's kind of the same as how the games on the Game Boy work. They've had to downscale to an extent, but there's not a lot of detail on screen, but the objects tend to be really large and I don't know, impactful or something. I don't know. The characters sometimes take up an awful lot of the screen in some of the early Game Boy games. If you look at Metroid 2 compared to, say, Super Metroid on the SNES, Samus is taking an enormous amount of the screen up, and that's true as well for like Super Mario Land 2. I think I talked about that before. But let's see if I've labels. Pretty similar, that's obviously a design thing, but there does kind of seem to be a logic to it. They're trying to get a lot of information. God, it's really nice to see them all together, actually. Jesus Christ, you probably can't hear a fucking damn thing. Yeah, so Super Mario Land 3, Wario Land. I've played some of the Wario Land games before, mostly Wario Land 3, I think. But they're good games. I think I seem to remember this one being a bit of a. It's the least like the other Wario Land games in terms of how Wario works. In Wario Land 3, as I remember, you don't really get damaged by enemies so much as enemies sort of if affect you. You get kind of they change your status, which actually in as many cases gives you an ability as it does. It may just as well give you an ability as impacting you detrimentally. So it's kind of interesting. It's kind of more of a puzzle platform, I suppose. Although I do remember this one when I played it before on emulator. I think is a little bit more traditional platformer, kind of I don't think there are even lives in Wario Land 3, but I think in this one, basically you get hit, you turn small, and then you die, just like ordinary Mario games, as I remember. So it might be slightly, the kind of pattern wasn't established yet. So actually I'm kind of more interested in playing this because I don't have as much experience with it as I remember. Other than that, that's about it. I really like the label. That seems to be mostly what I've talked about. Not terribly insightfully, but there you go. It's a nice condition. I need to get more of these boxes because at the moment I just keep all my Game Boy games in a drawer willy-nilly, and at least if they're contained, it will reduce damage or dust